Greetings, ghosts and ghouls, and welcome to another Lights Out story time with the Houston Public Library. My name is Yadira, and today I'm here to tell you about one of the scariest and most famous ghosts in the world, La Llorona. Although this story is scary, it should be appropriate for children ages 12 and up. The legend of the Llorona goes like this. Many years ago, in the Southwest, there was a beautiful lady named Maria. She had long dark hair that shone like a moonlight, and a smile that could melt even the coldest of hearts. From the time she was little, her family spoiled Maria and piled her with gifts, telling her how precious she was and how she would one day be the most beautiful wife and mother in all the world. Maria believed them. When she was a little girl, she imagined that a prince will come sweep her off her feet and take her to an enchanted castle. As she got older, she realized that finding a prince wasn't very likely, but she resolved to find the next best thing. When Maria was grown, her father began to ask her what sort of men she would like to marry. Her father was a businessman of high standing, and he knew many men in town who would like to marry Maria. He hoped that Maria might marry a local teacher who was a good Christian man, or perhaps one of his business partners who were plain but kind. But Maria refused. She told her father that she wanted to marry the wealthiest and most handsome man that she could find, because that was the closest thing she could get to a real-life Prince Charming. Her family warned her that there were more important things in marriage than money and looks. But Maria didn't listen. Not long after, she met a rich and handsome ranchero who was visiting her town. He owned many acres of land far away, and he looked even more handsome than the prince of her daydreams. Although the ranchero was charming, Maria's father didn't want her to move far away with a man that he barely knew. But once again, Maria refused to listen. She ran away with the ranchero to be his bride and to live in his big, beautiful ranch house far out in the country. Maria and the ranchero were very happy together for a while. A few years passed by. Maria and the ranchero had 2 children together. Maria loved her children very much, and she dedicated her time to playing with them, cooking for them, teaching them to read, and keeping them busy. Meanwhile, her husband stayed busy with his ranch. He often traveled to and from different towns to buy supplies and sell his animals. Many times, Maria asked if she could accompany his husband on his trips out of town. She missed her family and friends and missed seeing other people. Each time her husband refused and went alone on his long journeys. Maria noticed that her husband's trips out of town became longer and longer, and she would be alone with the children for weeks at a time. When he was home, her husband was distant. He wanted only to drink and gamble with other rancheros. He was still loving and affectionate with his children, but he barely paid any attention to Maria at all. Although the ranchero was still wealthy and handsome, he did not make her happy. Maria's marriage came to a bloody end when her husband returned from home one final trip. The ranchero had left alone, but when he returned, there was another woman with him. On all of his long business trips, the ranchero had been courting a new girl with plans to make her her second wife. The ranchero told Maria that she was banished from his house. He was keeping their home and their children and all of their possessions, and she could take one horse with her back to her father's house many miles away. Maria was senseless with rage and heartbreak. Everything she had ever wanted was crashing down around her. She will never let her husband get away with this cruelty, and she will never let him keep her babies. If she couldn't have her children, no one could. Still crazed with grief, she took her babies down to the river and drowned them both in the fast current. She regretted her actions as soon as she saw what she's done, but it was too late now. Her children's bodies were floating away, carried swiftly by the rushing water. Maria tried to swim after her children, to save them, but the current was too much for her to bear, and she drowned as well. If it's late at night and you hear a woman crying for her lost children, and you hear, mis hijos, mis hijos, it's important for you to run as quickly as you can. La Llorona misses her children so much that she's been said to take any kids that she can find. If she catches you and realizes that you're not one of her lost babies, she might let you go. Or she might take you down to the river too. Thank you for joining us for another Lights Out story time. Tune in next time to hear more scary stories. Bye.